So the CRM can talk to your calendar. This is very, very important. Don't want to miss that step. And we're going to finish off the day by talking about the perfect close. So, what do we need to do? What do we need to say? How do we set people up to successfully say yes to booking an appointment with you? So, we have a lot to do today. This, again, I said this is my favorite day because I feel like this is the part that I'm really, really good at. And I only get better with practice, as will you. So, we're going to do a quick recap of yesterday, remembering everything we did in the CRM, like the pipeline, the funnel, the workflows, your domain, and your webinar launcher. We're going to look at setting up live stream and or Zoom. We're going to look at the CRM setup checklist and make sure you know how to find the mini course. We're going to look at the golden presentation from start to finish. We're going to talk about the perfect close, what to say, when to say it, and how to present your offer. I'm going to give you some of my favorite tips that will get you crushing your webinar even faster. Of course, we're going to do the prize at the end. Once you've made it through the whole class, we'll finish off with another $300 advertising credit. And at the end, we'll have time for question and answer. VIPs. We are recording this challenge for you. So your videos, your recordings will be in school. We try to put them in within an hour of the training ending. All right. So go into school, classroom, and VIP experience. And guess what? You can still upgrade yourself. I know some people, I'm one of them. We kind of like to try things out before we overcommit. You know, you came in on the $47 ticket, not sure if this was going to be good information, but a lot of you will start saying, wow, this was more than I thought. And I think I want to have access to this information. You will have access to the videos for life. Once you get VIP and honestly, everything in your school area, that's all for life. You've purchased it, whatever your package that you came in on will be in there for life. So you can access that stuff as long as you want. $300 giveaway at the end of class. You guys have been amazing. So you're showing up every day. You are doing your homework and you're letting us know in school. That's the only way we know that you've completed the assignment. So make sure you're going into school and posting that you finished or that you are you're ready to go, right? I finished my assignment, ready for today. Be engaging in the chat. You guys have been really great with your positivity. I really appreciate it. It just makes this a better experience for everyone when you're taking your issues or your struggles or where you need extra help over to school. And so at the end of class today, we will have another winner. And our VIPs, we are going to give you something very special on Friday. We are doing the Ultimate Webinar Toolbox, and that includes a podcasting microphone, an HD webcam, a ring light, which I do recommend since we're talking about presentations today. I recommend you all just go get a ring light. You can get them on Amazon. If you don't win this package, that doesn't mean you shouldn't get a ring light. Let me tell you why. It takes off all the shadows from your face. And I'll tell you, I'm sitting in front of a big window with natural light because it's only like 12:15 here in Hawaii, but I still have my ring light right behind my laptop illuminating everything. It makes you clear. It makes you look like you're spotlighted. So I would recommend everybody get one of these ring lights. It's just going to help your presentation look a little bit more polished. We're giving away a $300 advertising credit, as well as 6 months of your high level or your webinar CRM subscription covered for you. This is a $900 value, so definitely don't want to miss out on that. Winner is announced on Friday. So let's take a look at hosting the live webinar. We talked about setting everything up. We're going to look at presenting today, but we need to host this somewhere. So we have come up with two options. It is completely up to you which option makes sense. And people have reasons for doing one versus the other. There's no wrong answer here. So let me make that very clear. There's no wrong answer. You can use either of these and they both work very well. So you can either do it through the live streaming feature on the CRM that you set up yesterday. You can have that turned on. Right now it's off for everybody. Or you can do an outside account with Zoom. So let's take a look at what each of these entails. So you have the webinar CRM live stream feature. The cost for using this part of the CRM is $13.99 per month. This gives you access to have unlimited attendees. So as you start scaling and you start putting more advertising budget behind your ads, it doesn't matter. You could have an event with 500 people on it and you're still covered by that $13.99 per month. You also have unlimited time. So there's no cutoff. You can do this for 30 minutes. You could do it for 3 hours and it's going to work exactly the same. What I love about the CRM live stream option, it only takes about a minute to set up. It's very, very simple to use, very simple to get going. Now, the other thing that makes this, I would say, attractive is it's browser-based. So unlike Zoom, which is app-based, users can just click a link and get set up in the live stream instantly. All right, so they don't have to download external software and create a Zoom account. They can click the link and they're in. So it's very user-friendly, and especially people who we use Zoom all the time as agents and lenders because so much of what we do nowadays is remote. We don't have to be in front of our client. So we're all familiar with Zoom, but you'll find that there's still a lot of people that don't use it. And so asking them to install another app, it becomes a little bit more cumbersome. So I like the fact that the CRM live stream is just a simple link click. The other thing that's really, really neat about the webinar CRM is instead of manually posting your link in the chat, like how I was teaching you to do on Zoom, there is a call to action pop-up window. And all you have to do is set it up with your booking link in there, and you can click that button and it pops up a window on all of your attendees' screens so they can click on it and book themselves an appointment. So it's a little bit more elegant of a solution. And this stuff is only available in webinar CRM. We had it specifically designed to work with webinar CRM. Okay, so that's kind of what you get if you choose to use the webinar CRM option. Everything is connected on the back end, so it flows seamlessly with the funnel. Now, if you're deciding, I already pay for a Zoom Pro account because I'm using Zoom all the time, and I already need more than 40-minute sessions. I think I'm going to go with Zoom and just keep my costs controlled. That's totally fine. Now, you do need Zoom Pro. Here's the reason. The free Zoom account has a 40-minute timer and it just shuts you off. That is not even close to enough time to do what we need to do to build authority, trust, credibility, and to properly educate our audience. We need about an hour and a half to do our process the right way. So you do need a Zoom Pro account. It's about $16.99 per month. I think they offer a discount if you buy the whole year up front, so you can research that. Now so Zoom is interesting because they kind of have different levels, different tiers, right, that you can come in on. So I believe the first level, you get up to 100 attendees. Now that's probably fine for where you're starting. Where everybody's starting, 100 attendees is more than enough. As you grow, you might want to increase that. You might want to have more people that can have access at a time. So then you might upgrade in the future. Zoom Pro also gives you unlimited time. It's going to take you about 30 minutes to an hour, depending on how knowledgeable you are with Zoom, to get all of the settings done correctly. And once you have the settings done in Zoom, you're done. You don't have to change them. So it's going to be a one-time, commitment to set up your Zoom. It is app-based, so users need to have Zoom beforehand, or they need to quickly get it downloaded when they try to log in. This can lead to a slight decrease in the attendance rate. If somebody can't figure out the Zoom portion, they might just say, forget it, right? So it's a potential lost opportunity. And to do your call to action, which is book a call with me and my team, you'll have to manually paste the link in the chat. Now, when I started doing webinars like this, we only had Zoom as it was the only option. So I'm very familiar with using Zoom. It's fine. It worked well. I booked many, many appointments. And it's once you get through the setup, and then you just remember I have to highlight and copy my booking link, and then I have to manually drop it in the chat whenever I want someone to see it. That's what you have to do on Zoom. I now have integrated the CRM live stream. I did a webinar with it 2 weeks ago. I absolutely loved it. It was very streamlined. I couldn't believe how simple it was. I was like, oh, that's it. That's all I have to do. Got it. So it's up to you. Like I said, there's not a right answer here. It's more what is right for me in this moment. If you already have Zoom Pro and you're trying to save a little bit of monthly budget, then keep Zoom Pro and just use that until you feel like, hey, I think I want to try live stream. I have enough business to support bringing this on. If you have neither yet, if you're not using Zoom Pro and you're like, I want simplicity and just have everything in one spot, then go ahead and use the live streaming option. They both work. Okay. So that's the difference between the two. So let's talk about setting up the live stream. Okay, so take some good notes here, take some screenshots. It's very simple. When you go into your webinar CRM, and remember, you have to have webinar CRM to be able to do this. You need to go into the webinar launcher. Okay, so click on the webinar launcher. And on the right-hand side of the screen, you're going to have something that says webinar details and CRM live stream. So you're going to want to find the CRM live stream place, and then you're going to open your host link to start streaming. It's literally that simple. This page will come up. You'll see that it says your webinar platform is CRM live stream. Select live stream. It'll ask you if you want to start the free trial. Go ahead and do that. And then you'll open the host link to test it out. Okay. So that's it. That gets you into the live stream portion of your webinar CRM. So I want to make sure everybody has a copy of this slide. Take a screenshot, take a picture. I'm about to move on. Okay. All right. Then you will open the live stream using your host link. You will have all of these options down at the bottom. Okay. There's even an option to do a practice session. That's a really good way to just go in and see how everything works. You can record from the live stream option if you want to have a recording, so you can go back. You can use it in the future. You can go back and watch it, see how you might want to improve. You can share your screen. So everything happens right here at the bottom of your screen. You'll even see that CTA. When you click on that, it's going to give you the option to put in your booking link. This is the CTA feature. So when you click on CTA, You can decide what you want the button to say. Schedule your private session is perfect. I don't think you need to reinvent the wheel here. And then the description: for a limited time, schedule your custom step-by-step game plan for your home ownership goals created for you by real estate experts. And then you put your calendar booking link in the URL section. So when they click the button that says schedule your private session, it takes them to the calendar booking link, right? So everybody needs to go set up their calendar booking link tonight. There is a video on how to do it in your CRM mini course. So write that down. I'm going to say it one more time. You need to go set up your calendar booking link. You need to go in and connect your calendar to the CRM tool. That way you'll be able to come in here and use the calendar feature. If you get stuck and you're not sure how to connect it all together, please make a post in school and we will connect with you and help you make sure it's all set up properly. All right, option 2. We're not going to go in depth on setting up Zoom, but we did put Zoom setup instructions in your day 3 challenge resources. So if you're deciding that you're going to move forward and use Zoom as your hosting platform, then for your homework tonight, you're going to go in, find day 3, and you're going to find the Zoom setup instructions, and there's a video walking you through it. You want to do this on a web browser. So Zoom does not have all of the proper settings and setting management on the app as it does on the browser. So a lot of us use our Zoom like on the app to log in from our phone, but to do the settings, you need to be on a browser. So we do have a little step-by-step template here. It says setting up your Zoom account, and then we have a video. So you can pause it, you can go back over and make sure you have everything done. So no, Mike, with Zoom, there's not a pop-up because Zoom doesn't have that feature. So you have to manually paste your calendar booking link in the chat box. So you'll say, I'm putting the calendar link in the chat. Click the link now to book an appointment with me and my team, right? And then you'll already have it pasted or copied on your clipboard. I just hit like Command C, right? To do that, or Control C, whichever one on a Mac copies. I always do it just not even thinking about it. And then you'll paste it when it's time, and you'll paste it multiple times. Okay. So that's Zoom. So you have 2 choices. Select the one you want to do for your homework tonight. Set it up, whether you're setting up CRM live stream or you're setting Zoom Pro. Just go ahead and get it done tonight, and then go in and make sure you get the calendar set up. That's in your CRM mini course under day 2. Clear on homework so far? I'm giving it to you now, so make sure you wrote all of that down. Use the school community as a resource. These are all very detailed videos of how to do this, but if you do get stuck, go to school, let us help you, okay? Now we also have in the school community, which hopefully you've already found it, because this was from day 2. I just want to recap and make sure you have it, you know how to find it. If you didn't finish up setting up your CRM, please go into day 2 and find the CRM walkthrough setup checklist. We've created this so you can just go down the list and make sure you have everything done. All right. So you'll go in and say CRM login, domain added. Did we get our settings done? Right. So you'll go in there and make sure you do everything. We could not do every single step with you yesterday. We gave you all of the very, very important things. Everything else is in videos for you under CRM mini course. So I recommend everybody go to that CRM mini course and just make sure, okay, I did this. Okay, let me look at the next video. Yep, we did that in class. Next video, we did that in class. Next video, oh, okay, I have to connect my calendar. Let's do that. Oh, I have to set up the texting phone number. Let's do that. So everything's in there, but it's up to you to go in and make sure you finish all of the other little things that need to be connected. Okay, so that's in your school, classroom, challenge resources, and that is under day 2. So during day 1, we talked about limiting beliefs, right? We talked about the things that might make us nervous, that might make us apprehensive, things that maybe would hold us back from trying something new. We really dove into that on Monday. And we've covered a lot of information and new technology that might be new to you. And building a back end machine that makes a funnel work. So we've been doing so many things this week, and there's so much more to do. We have strategies, frameworks, formulas that I'm still here to teach you over the next few days. And I know this is a lot of new information. I was sitting where you are sitting right now when I decided I wanted to do something different. And I also want to address, I think it's really important that we also address the fact that when we're learning new things and it gets a little stressful because it's difficult or it's unfamiliar, that this can bring up all sorts of emotions. That's why I took us through the exercise on Monday where we thought, what's going to change in my life when I have more money, when I have more time, and I have more freedom? Start with that in mind, because didn't I say there's going to be moments during this challenge where you're going to ask yourself, why did I sign up for this? This is really hard, right? And that's when doubt creeps in. So I want to acknowledge the fact that these emotions exist. And if they come up for you, you're not alone. That's why we have all sorts of ways for you to get help. And even if you know that a webinar funnel can save you time and it can save you energy while you're prospecting, and even if you know that the webinar funnel can book you appointments consistently on autopilot, and even if you know that this funnel can bring you deals every single month, this part can still feel very overwhelming. And that's completely normal. And I'm telling you, I tried to do this on my own 5 years ago when I saw the power of a webinar funnel, but there was nobody teaching the how. They just sold funnel builder software, and you basically had to be like a web designer and coder to figure out how to design the pages and how to get them to connect and how to get them to go in sequence and I was just I spent 2 weeks of just diving in, and I could not make any progress. Talk about overwhelming. So that's why this system is so powerful, is because we've done the heavy lifting for you. And now you just have to come in and connect it all together. And we're walking you through that as well. Okay. But I understand it can still feel overwhelming, and you are not alone. So, what I'm going to ask from you in these moments when you're feeling maybe just a little frustrated, that you choose belief over fear, because fear is very powerful. Fear can make you stop in your tracks. Fear can make you do things that your logical brain would tell you not to do. But guess what? Belief is as equally powerful. So we have a choice. We can have belief in the system, belief in ourselves, or we can give in to fear. So believe in yourself. Even if you're still working through some of these concepts, even if you're still trying to set up the CRM, but believe in yourself and know that you can make it to the other side successfully. And you might have to borrow the belief from me, but do it. Borrow the belief from me, because I believe that you can make this happen. I was sitting where you are. I believe that you can do it. So let's focus on the positive. I'm a big positivity person. I'm a glasses half full kind of a person, but I also believe it served me well, because I don't get stuck in the negative. I find the one thing that's positive, and I build upon that. So here's why belief is super important. The amount of belief that you have in anything in your life will affect the amount of potential that you can tap into. So the bigger the belief, the more potential there is for you to use. But if your belief is tiny, if you're like, yeah, this is probably not going to work, but I'm sitting in the class anyway, but I doubt it's going to work. How motivated, how much effort are you actually going to put into something that you don't even believe is going to work anyway, right? You're probably not going to. But if you really, really believe that this has the potential to do some major change in your business, and you believe that you'll be good at it and that you can connect with your audience, then how much effort are you going to put in? A lot more. So the amount of belief affects the potential you can tap into, which then creates the influence. And that tells your brain and your system how strong the action needs to be. If you don't think it's going to work anyway, you're not going to take massive action. But if you see something very powerful and you see yourself at the bottom of the mountain that you have to climb, but you know that what's at the top of that mountain is worth having, you're going to move that mountain to get to the top, right? You are going to do what it takes to make sure that you can get to the top of that mountain. So your potential will influence how strong your actions are. And then guess what? What determines results? It's action. And that's why I said on Monday, please take action every single day, because the action is the only thing that moves you forward towards results. That is it. If you take zero action or you take minimal action, there's no way that you can have a big result. And that's why I always give the disclaimer that this system is fully dependent on you. The tools work. I've demonstrated it. Hundreds of other real estate agents have demonstrated the tools work, the system works, but what doesn't work is when someone doesn't do the work. So believe in yourself so you can tap into that potential so you can take massive action and you can have different results. So thank you for listening to my PSA. I always think Wednesday, day 3 is a good day to just come back in, remember what we're doing, why we're doing it, and how we can get to the finish line. It takes us putting one step in front of the other to get there. So you guys are doing it. You're doing it. I see that. Okay, so let's recap yesterday. We looked at our webinar CRM. Everybody's got access to the free trial, so you can test it out, get it set up, and get ready to go. This is a very powerful software for lead management and lead conversion. I'm sure you saw all of the potential and are very excited to start using it. We looked at the pipeline stages. So those were a visual representation of your funnel. So you can see where each lead is in the stage of the funnel. So have they registered? Did they actually attend the event? You can see if they've booked a call. And after they've booked a call and maybe you're in contract with them, you can move them to closed once they get all the way through your process. We also looked at automations and the workflows. And if you remember, an automation is simply a set of actions that happen automatically. So, for example, when the lead registers on the landing page, what happens next? What are they being sent? When they attend the webinar, what happens next? We looked at the reminder sequences. How are we connecting with them to make sure that they have everything they need to actually attend the event? And then, of course, we looked at the funnel pages, and a funnel page is a required page in the funnel, like the registration page, the thank you page. These are all things that we need to have dialed in and customized to you, your company, and your event. We looked at the landing page, confirmation page, join now, the replay, and the booking page. And then we talked about getting a domain and looking at the webinar launcher. So we connected a domain to the CRM and we gave you a free subdomain that you can use so you don't have to go buy one try to keep it very, very simple. And the webinar launcher, as you saw, was where you can set your webinar dates, which are placeholders in the CRM to autofill anywhere that they're used. Okay, so now we're going to look at the webinar structure. So think back to day one when you chose your topic. I want you to start mapping your webinar out based on the topic that you selected. So this is where we all have to now kind of do a little work to build out our presentation based on whatever type of business we are going after. So we start with an introduction, and this is going to be where you get to tell a little bit about yourself. I recommend you introduce yourself, put some pictures on there. You're welcome to talk a little bit about your family, what you enjoy doing. I wouldn't make this too depthful, right? Keep it simple enough, but this is where they get to see who you are as a person. So make yourself a person that people would like to connect to. It's nice to smile. It's nice to be warm, because people tend to do business with those that they know, that they like, and that they trust. So they're coming in as a stranger. So you're talking to them about yourself so they can get to know you. Your personality is going to help them determine if they like you or not. Are you warm? Are you attentive? And your presentation is going to establish that trust. So the introduction is important so they can do that get to know you part, and they can start to figure out if they like you. I always like to start off with a question to engage my audience. I'll say something like, as a new home buyer, are you feeling a little bit nervous? Are you anxious? Is this something that's bringing up some anxiety with you? Let me know in the chat. I want to make sure I address any concerns during our time today so you can leave this class feeling empowered, knowledgeable, and ready to move forward with a plan. It's very important during the beginning, during that introduction phase, that you get people used to using the chat box, you get them engaging with you, because the more people engage with you, the more they start building that bond and that rapport. So you want them to feel totally comfortable asking questions, putting things in the chat, and that's why I like to start off with a simple question. Then we're going to move on to the teaching portion of the class, and that's going to be about 45 to 60 minutes long, depending on your topic. And I like you to break this out. If you can come up with 5 value points, that's ideal. I wouldn't do less than 3. So I'd say a minimum of 3 value points if you have a lot to talk about within each one, or 5 value points if you want to have a little bit less information but cover more kind of breadth on the topic. So we're going to go into what those value points could be, but something, for example, could be mistake number 1, not getting a pre-approval before you start house hunting. So that would be value point number 1, which I'm calling mistake number 1, right? And then the next portion of our presentation, the next series of slides, are going to be all about why that's a bad idea. Why would they want to get a pre-approval? What is a pre-approval? So we take them through these things. We don't ever want to assume that somebody knows anything about what we're talking about. So the way that I move through my presentation is I assume that everything that I'm talking about, people don't know what it is. So if I'm going to talk about needing a pre-approval before you start house hunting, first I have to tell them what it is, right? I don't want to make any assumptions. Then I'll move on to mistake number 2, which could be mistake number 2, skipping a home inspection. What is a home inspection? Why would you want to have one? What could happen if you don't have one? And I always love to tell stories. So these are opportunities for you to now show your experience, tell stories that relate to them. So I might say, I had a client who wanted to skip a home inspection because they figured they have enough handyman knowledge that they can figure it out. What they didn't know, they did end up having the home inspection, and what they didn't know was that this really nice remodeled property had very old wires, and you would have never known it unless you took the electrical panel cover off so you could see what was actually feeding the box. What they also found was a bunch of like burn marks back there, meaning that there had been sparking and maybe even little mini fires happening behind the panel. So I tell them these stories so they can start to understand the why they should consider doing the thing I'm telling them that they should do. And then you'll come up with 3 more value points to support your topic. Then we're going to move into the transition phase, which is where I like to recap the past 60 minutes of talking in about 60 seconds. This reminds them what they just learned and gets them in the headspace to the next part, which is getting them in getting them ready to book an appointment with you. So we'll do a 60-second recap. We're going to build something called Yes Momentum. More on that later. And then we are going to drop the offer. And the offer is book a call with me and my team so we can go into your unique situation and see where you're at in this process, and we can build a plan for you. Click the link in the chat. It'll bring up a calendar. You can select any available time, and I will be there for a private one-on-one session that is no cost to you. Okay? So this is the flow. And then at the end, after they've had the opportunity to book their appointments, we open it up to question and answer. And we're still dropping the booking link in the chat. We're still directing them back. That's a great question. I can give you kind of a generic answer, but I'd have to know a little bit more about your personal situation to really dive into that. Why don't you go ahead and book a call so we can tackle that together? So now we're going to talk about the golden presentation. Now, before I get into the perfect close, which is at the end of the golden presentation, I want to ask you, so far, day 3, has your time on this training been well spent? Let me know in the chat. Awesome. Love to hear that. And are you feeling confident in your ability to use webinars to close lots of deals? Love it. And would you say it's fair to say that using any of these techniques that you've learned so far would give you a significant advantage over your competition? 100%. And even if you only use just a tiny fraction of what we've covered so far, don't you feel like you've already taken a gigantic leap forward with your own marketing? Totally different, right? Because I don't even know what you knew about webinars and sales funnels before you came to this training. But I'd bet it's safe to say that what we've covered today has been new and valuable to you. It was to me. So I have to ask, would you guys like to spend more time with me, where my team and I personally invest in your success? I would love that too. Amazing. Well, guess what? You just witnessed what I like to call yes momentum. All right. This yes momentum is very, very powerful because you're building on something. You've already established credibility. You've already given the goods, right? You're teaching in real time. They're getting value. They are seeing, wow, I'm glad I came to this training. I'm learning something new. And yes, I want to learn more. And so we put them back in that place to remember, yeah, this was good. We're building up yes momentum to transition to the perfect close. So the perfect close. After the hour-long educational part of the webinar, we're going to transition to the pitch, but it wouldn't be as effective if we just said, okay, great, and now it's time to book appointments. There's a link in the chat. You can click on it and find any available slot. We want to use a very specific formula to increase the likelihood that people feel compelled to book that call with you. This is what I call my perfect close formula. So the transition will be your 60-second recap, yes momentum, right? Didn't that feel kind of exciting? Like you were remembering, yeah, and you're thinking about that I'm asking you about yourself. Do you guys feel good about this? Are you wanting to move forward? Isn't this more than you've ever done in your marketing so far? And you're like, yeah, this is good. I'm happy I'm here. And then I ask you, do you want to keep working with me? And you're like, I do. Yes, I do want to keep working with you. What else can you teach me? That's what we're trying to instill in them. So we've just given them all the goods. We're reminding them how good it was. And then we're asking them somewhere around 6 questions, doesn't need to be exact, that gets them more likely to say yes. You're reminding them why they're there and that they're excited. And then you're saying, would you like the opportunity to spend more time with me and my team? Then click the link in the chat. It's super easy. That's your offer. That's your pitch. So if you need that slide, go ahead and grab it. All right. So the 60-second recap. They've proven it. Our brains are getting more and more like goldfish brains. The more we watch short form video, which is all that Instagram, Facebook, YouTube shorts, is all short form video designed to get us to think and move on, think and move on, think and move on. We're not really pondering things anymore. So people forget much easier. So they will likely forget the majority of what they learned. So it's crucial that you give them that 60-second recap to remind them of everything that they just sat through. So you might have a slide like this. So a recap of what we discussed today. If you remember, we talked about not ignoring first-time homebuyer incentive programs. We looked at why we should get a pre-approval before starting to house hunt. It's very important that we have that in hand already. We talked about not going to the bank for the mortgage, or maybe just use a broker that also lets you look at the banks as well as a side-by-side comparison. We looked at why we shouldn't skip a home inspection. We talked about not directly buying from a builder, that you should have agent representation. We looked at not skipping the condo document review period, or maybe it's HOA documents, but making sure we really dive into those documents, okay? So we're recapping everything that we just taught them. So Lorraine, you're gonna make your own slides. So this is the point of today, is I'm teaching you how to build your own presentation. That's why I gave you the outline, and now we're filling in the blanks. So you're gonna create your own presentation based on the topic that you want to do. Now, if you purchase the VIP option, I actually did put a template of my presentation in there. So my VIPs can go in, you can take the presentation already done, and you can just customize it to yourself. So if you're VIP, you'll find that in school, okay? After the 60-second recap, we're going to build some yes momentum. We ask the audience 5 to 6 yes questions to get them engaged and get them more likely to say yes right before you give them the opportunity to book a call with you. So here's some examples of your yes momentum questions. Has your time on this free webinar been well spent? Do you feel confident in being able to purchase a home? Is it fair to say that using these tips would give you a significant advantage when buying a home? And I don't know what you knew about the home buying process coming into this webinar today, but I'd bet it's safe to say that what we've covered today was new and valuable to you. Do you want to spend more time with me, where my team and I are personally invested in your success? I'm offering consultations for a limited time to help you accomplish your home ownership goals. Click the link in the chat to schedule your call. So this is where you would paste your booking link in the chat box if you're using Zoom. And this is where you would launch your call to action button if you're using the live stream option. Now, I tell everybody that this is a free call. They don't know that it doesn't typically cost money to sit down with a real estate agent or a lender. We're assuming, and I always assume nothing. So I'm going to assume they don't know that that's how it works. So I'm going to let them know there's no cost for this. I'm not here to sell you anything. This is literally an opportunity for you to get a little bit more in depth, a little bit more personal, so you can ask questions privately and we can come up with a plan, a roadmap for you. Okay, the link is in the chat. Go ahead and click on that now. So now let's talk about the offer. This is our booking link. Tell them you're offering free consultations for a limited time. People are more likely to book something when they feel like there's some scarcity. If you say, oh yeah, my calendar is wide open, book anytime, then it's like, okay, I can do this later. And they'll probably say, okay, let me figure out a time, I'll do it later. And then later never comes. It just doesn't. But if you can get them to book something now they're in the funnel again. They're back in the funnel. And we can start sending them reminder sequences so they can show up to that appointment. So let them know it's a free consultation. Let them know that you're opening this. You could say, I'm opening my calendar for a limited time, where it's just all out there. Pick any time that is available for you. And they can schedule their call by clicking the link in the chat. You should be able to get about 20% of your attendees to book on your calendar. That's what we're aiming for, 20%. And when you get really, really good, you will probably increase that number. Mine sits around 30% now. If I get 20%, I'm super happy. But if I get 30%, I know I hit a home run. So we're aiming for 20%, especially in the beginning when you're just starting. You need to make sure that this link is always present. Once you drop that link, do not let it get buried in the chat, especially if you have a very active group. So paste it in there every few minutes. Every time you paste it, announce it. Don't be afraid to announce it. I just dropped the link in the chat. Go ahead and click on it so you can book your home buying consultation today. You might even want to put a little screenshot of what it looks like so they can see, because they see the calendar will pop up. You can pick any time that's on the right-hand side. Those are all available times. So one of the most important mindset shifts that I made when going through this process is that making the offer isn't something to apologize for, okay? The fact that you're offering people the opportunity to have an appointment, don't apologize for that. You should honor it. When you give somebody the opportunity to work with you, to sit down with you and really dive into their situation, you are not bothering them. They wouldn't be on that webinar if your offer was going to bother them. You're just simply opening a door. And if you remember from day one, when we talked about the funnel and how it's a self-filtering funnel, right? We already know that not everyone is going to walk through the door. We know that. We don't need everyone to book a call. But what would happen if we didn't make the offer? We wouldn't even be able to get our 20%. And we know that at least 20% of the people on the call want that offer. We just don't know who they are. We don't know which ones are the ones that are going to book. So we want to make sure that we are coming to the table and making that offer. Open the door for people because that door will lead them to more clarity on their situation. It will lead to momentum for them. So, they start in the I just want to get information phase and they get excited. Then they're like, I want to take action. Booking a call keeps the momentum going. And they're going to get results that they likely wouldn't get on their own. Okay, there's a reason they came to your class and didn't just go on Chat GPT to get the answers, because they may already have gone to Chat GPT to get the answers, but they still feel trepidation. They still feel maybe a little insecurity about doing such a massive thing on their own. So they're trying to find somebody that will walk them through the process, right? That door leads to results they wouldn't likely get on their own. So I want you to think about this. When a buyer or a seller shows up to your webinar, they are standing at the edge of one of the biggest financial decisions of their life. Buying or selling a home is a massive financial transaction. And it is probably the biggest one that the majority of the people that you're working with will ever do. And that's intimidating. That's scary. They don't want to go at it alone. They need someone that is experienced and that will walk them through the process. And that's you. And that is why they are sitting in your classroom. So when you extend that invitation to help them through this process, you're no longer pitching. This is not really a pitch. That's why this is leadership. So we call it a pitch. This is your time to drop your offer. But what we're really doing is we're becoming leaders. So I need you guys to step into that role and truly be the leader. So if you believe that your offer can truly help someone, which I hope you believe it, otherwise, why are you doing this? If you truly believe that the education that you're providing helps people, if you believe that you can deliver more value to them than it costs them in time, money, or energy, then not making the offer is the real disservice, right? Imagine someone comes to the presentation, they love everything you're saying, they're excited, and all they want to know is what's next. Is there more? Do I have the opportunity to do more? And you don't offer the call, then they're like, all right, well, that was great, but now what? You're basically going to feed them off to go researching an agent that can help them. So you need to make the offer so you can be the one that gets to help them. Holding back does not serve them. It protects your comfort. So if you feel intimidated or awkward about asking people to book appointments, that's only protecting you, your comfort, but it's not protecting your growth and it's not protecting their growth. And trust me, people are never going to get angry that you offered the next step. It's not for everyone, and that's okay. The ones who don't want to do it won't, but the ones that do want to move forward will most certainly book that call. So when you invite someone to a consultation, you're not selling. You even said, this isn't to sell you anything. This is so I can help you understand your situation. You are now serving them. And that's a beautiful place to be. So you're offering them clarity on their situation. You're offering them a safe space to ask real questions. And you are offering them a roadmap to move forward. So if someone is truly serious, if they're telling you they are serious about buying or selling, they're only hoping that you will make the offer for what's next. Don't leave them hanging. The right ones will book. And just always remember, we already know that not everyone's they're gonna come to the appointment or the webinar, but we know that they're not all gonna book a call. So that takes the pressure off of you as well, because we already know going into it. All right, I got 30 people in here. I know not even half of them are going to book a call with me. I just have to figure out who's next, who wants my help, who's ready to go. They want to know what it looks like to work with you. So it's your responsibility to show them. That's on you. So please don't hold back. Don't shrink your invitation. I want you to boldly tell them what's next. Don't whisper, don't do the, all right, well, thank you for coming. And if you want to book a call, there's a link in the chat and you can click on it and you can book a time. Okay. Any questions? Right? Don't shrink. Lead boldly because the right people, and that's all we're looking for, is the right ones at the right time. The right people are ready. So who wants to see the exact slideshow that I still personally use on my webinars? I created this presentation. I've tweaked it a couple times throughout the last 2 years, but essentially I'm still using the framework of the same presentation that I used when I started because it works so well. I am not out there trying to reinvent the wheel. So let's do this. Okay, can you see Hawaii home buyers class? Good, perfect. Okay, so you'll notice I am using Canva. I like Canva for slide decks. Some of you might still be old school and want to use PowerPoint. There's all different options. I think there's like Google has Pages or something. It doesn't matter because when you're giving your presentation, you're going to just share your screen, right? So you would put this in slideshow view, but I'm keeping it in this view just so you can kind of see the flow of my slides a little bit better. So it does not matter if you use Canva or PowerPoint, it doesn't matter. You just need to have this presentation somewhere that you can do a screen share when it's time to host your live event. Okay. So I have a title slide. This is what they're going to see when they enter the meeting, basically. And while this title slide is on, the room is going to be filling up. I'm going to be waiting to get, I might start my meeting at 7:05. So they start coming in at 7 and I say, okay, we're going to wait about 5 minutes for everybody to filter in. And I'm going to start asking them, where's everybody logging in from today? I oftentimes run my webinars on multiple islands at the same time. I'm going to say, what island are you logging in from? Oh, awesome. What part of the island? Great. Just trying to make connections with them. So a lot of you, if you're in a bigger city, you could say, hey, what neighborhood are you coming in from? Or what suburb are you logging in from? You'll just figure out whatever you need to say to get people using the chat and start connecting with them. Okay. When it's time to start, so 7:05, we get right into it. All right. So as a new home buyer, let me know how you're feeling right now. Are you feeling a little stressed? Are you feeling concerned, a little uncertain, maybe even a little anxious? Let me know in the chat. These are all very normal feelings, by the way. I just want to see where we're starting so I know what we need to do moving forward to get you past these feelings. And then I let them say what they want to say. I acknowledge it. Oh, and I say, thank you for sharing. I hope by the end of this class, none of you feel those things anymore and you feel excited and empowered and ready to move forward. So today, we're going to go through a bunch of different things. So we're going to talk about who we are so you can get a little feel about why we're teaching this class. I'm going to share some client testimonials because, I can make up all kinds of stories and tell you how amazing I am, but I think it holds a little bit more weight when you hear it from actual clients. I'm going to show you the mistakes to avoid when going through this process. We're going to have time for questions and answers, and there will be an opportunity to book one-on-one appointments. My name is Stacy Wolf. I was first licensed in 2007 in the Chicago area. So I did go through a pretty tough market there, but now I'm here in Hawaii. I absolutely love it. I've owned properties on both Oahu and the Big Island. I love helping people become financially free. And I think that one of the main ways you can start achieving that for you and your family is through real estate. It just gives you such a unique position to build wealth over time. I'm a team leader and a very, very good negotiator. I have with me on the call my team. So I want you to see, depending on what island you're on, I'm going to bring in someone from my team to make sure that we are chat or that we're connecting you with the right person. So if you're going to be buying on the Big Island, you're going to be working with me still. I do fly back and forth between the Big Island and Oahu. If you're on Kauai, you're going to work with Sky. If you're on Oahu, it'll be myself or Cornelius. And if you're on Maui, you're going to be chatting with Dominic. And then I let each one of them take about a minute to introduce themselves and just talk a little bit about, their experience or how long they've been on that island. Because the way I look at it is if anybody is going to be handed off, so if you're going to hand somebody off to another team agent, you better make sure they're on that webinar so they already expect it. The worst thing is where they think they're going to work with you. And then all of a sudden you're like, and you're going to be working with my team agent. They might be amazing, but that team agent wasn't on the call building the trust and credibility, right? I also let my team, if we're going to be doing this together, I give them each a speaking part in the presentation as well, because I want them to look like authority figures too. Okay. Then I present with a lender many times. Some of you are asking if there's any issues with RESPA. Guys, you got to figure this all out. I'm not a lender. I ask my lenders, hey, you need to decide if you can do this. So he's teaching about home loans. You can talk to, who your company, whatever you need to do to make sure that your presentation is compliant. But make sure you figure that out in your market, in your state before you move forward. Okay, so then Zenon, he talks a little bit about himself. I turn it over to him. He gives his experience, his background. Now I move into testimonials. So I say, okay, so I want to share with you a couple testimonials from actual clients. I pulled these off my Google reviews page. So you can go on Google, you can see they're there, they're real. You can make sure that I'm not making this up if you want. And then I will go ahead and read the entire review. I'll just read it, the whole thing, and say, I wanted to share what Chris had to say about working with our team. And then I'll move on and I'll say, now let's look at Rachel. And I never met Rachel. She actually found me online randomly and we hit it off. And this is what we were able to do for them. And then I'll read the entire review. It has so much more impact when you can give words about yourself through the voice of someone else, someone neutral, someone that's not vested in the outcome. So that's why if you have any reviews, it's great to grab a few of them and put them into your presentation. Then I go through a very basic little timeline. I like to keep things lighthearted. That's just who I am. I like to keep things fun. And so I use this as just my opportunity to say, okay, so what are the steps to home ownership? Well, the first thing is come to this class so you can learn everything. So check, congratulations, you're here. At the end of this class, you're going to have so much knowledge that you'll be confident to move forward in the process. The next thing we do is get pre-approved by your broker. If you don't know what that means, don't worry. We're going to be talking about that very soon. Most people get steps 2 and 3 reversed. They will start house hunting with a realtor before they're pre-approved. They're doing it backwards, and that can cause a lot of problems. So we're not going to make that mistake. We're going to do these things in the right order. So after you get your pre-approval with your broker or your loan officer, then you're going to hire a real estate agent. Hopefully it's me or someone from my team. And then we're going to start house shopping. Once we pick out the perfect place that you and your family love, we're going to open up what's called escrow so we can do all the paperwork to get you moved into that dream house and to get you those keys. Okay. Some of you are asking if you're a new agent, and don't have any reviews, I challenge you. Everybody has reviews. Don't you have anyone that you've worked with at any job ever in your life? Do you have any friends or family member that would review your character, right? You can do, we need to get out of this linear thinking. We need to step outside of that box and say, all right, at my last position, I was very detail oriented. I was friendly. I had great customer service. And you can say, hey, previous boss, would you write me a character review just on myself? Could say, Stephen is a pleasure to work with, very organized, always on time. He is prepared, thorough, and researches everything before he moves forward. All you need is words from a third party. That's true. Don't ask anyone to lie for you, but definitely just find someone in your life at some point that has nice things to say about you. And if you don't have that, then I'm going to question, what are you doing in your life that nobody wants to say nice things about you? Okay. So you can all find a way to get someone to write something positive that you can put in there for credibility. Okay. Now we're going to move on to our value points. So mistake number one that I see people making when they're starting the home buyers process is not checking what programs they might qualify for. So let me ask you all, anybody here in this class today, a veteran? Do I have any active duty military? Do I have any doctors? Do I have nurses? Any teachers, firefighters, police officers, or EMTs? All right, if the answer is yes, guess what? You qualify for my Community Heroes program. This is something that I do to put money back in your pocket, and it's a thank you for doing work that directly impacts our community. So when you work with me and my team, at closing, you are going to get a credit for, it could be thousands of dollars. We use a percentage of the sale that we're able to give back to you at closing. So we want to check and see if you qualify for that. What are some other things? Well, we have first-time home buyer programs. There are some grant programs, and we're going to talk a little bit about what these are and how you qualify. This is where I bring in my lender and I say, Zenon, can you talk a little bit about these first-time home buyer programs? What are you seeing lately? Do we have to pay them back? And then he'll give me the answer. Perfect. Zenon, how do they qualify? How do we know if they qualify for these programs? He's going to give me the answer. Can they take out a second mortgage and can that be forgivable? He'll give me the answer. And are you seeing down payment assistance programs right now in this market? Perfect. How do they get access to them? And so then he will give me the answer. So I like to make this a little bit of a back and forth between me and the lender, so we get a dialogue going. So I'm now building credibility and authority for him by letting him answer all the questions as the expert. Okay. Mistake number two, not getting a pre-approval before moving forward. So let's talk about what are the three pillars of a mortgage approval? What goes into this? And then I'm going to turn it over to Zenon. And he's going to talk about how they're going to be looking at their credit. They're going to be looking at your income, and they're going to be looking at your down payment. And all of that goes into a formula to determine if they're even willing to give you a loan on a property. And that's going to determine how much of a loan they're willing to give. Okay, so he's going to dive into this a little bit deeper. He's going to explain this a little bit more. If you don't have a lender on your webinar, well, then you're going to do all the talking, right? So you are going to explain the things that you want to talk about. And remember, you don't have to be a lender to teach people how a mortgage approval works. I really hope as real estate agents that you understand enough that you can give a talk explaining, that your credit score is part of the process, how much money you make versus how much debt you have, if you have any down payment money sitting around. So you want to make sure that you understand the things that you're teaching on. We're not going to all have the same presentation because we all have very different topics. So as you're building out your value points, find things that are informative to your audience that you are comfortable speaking about. If you don't know the answers to some of the questions that a home buyer might have, then you need to go find them and you need to give a little bit more education for yourself before you turn around to be the expert for them. Okay. So when I first started, I didn't have lenders on my calls. I did them all by myself. Now I just love the power of being able to bounce back and forth. So I do bring lenders on my calls now. So let's take a look at what goes into a loan pre-qualification. And this is where my lender will talk about the difference between a pre-qualification and a pre-approval. They'll talk about why the pre-approval is a little bit stronger. And he's going to go through this slide. So he's going to talk about how pre-qualification helps you determine how much you can afford to spend on a home. And it's based on things such as your credit, your income, and your assets. Pre-qualification can help you determine how much house you qualify for. It increases your bargaining power when negotiating with a seller, and it helps you estimate your monthly payment and your total investment. It also helps you identify which type of loan you should use. So let's take a look at some do's and don'ts for a simple loan approval. And then the lender or you, depending on what you're doing, or if you are the lender, it's going to be you or probably you on this slide. So you'll say, please call us if you have any questions. Please, please keep living at your current residence. Keep making any mortgage or rent payments that you have. Continue to use your credit as normal. So whatever normal is for you, keep doing that. Keep working at your current employer. So while you're trying to get a house, this is not the time to change jobs. So wait until after you get the house before you make a career change. Keep your same insurance company. Keep current on all accounts that you owe money on, and expect additional requests for documentation throughout the process. Now, what should we avoid? Please don't make any large purchases. If you even have to ask if this is considered a large purchase, ask, and we'll let you know. Please don't change bank accounts. Don't make any large cash deposits, and make sure you're not applying for new credit or co-signing on a loan. And let's try not to max out or overcharge those credit cards. And then the lender is going to go through the 4 most common types of mortgages. We know there's a lot more out there, but these are the 4 most common ones. So the lender is going to go through each one, explain what it is, how you qualify for that one, and why you might select that particular loan. And then you'll say, we can book a one-on-one appointment to see which one is best for you. Then we look at what can and can't we use for down payment and closing costs. So this is where I like to make it a little game. So I'm going to say to my attendees, what do you guys think? Do you think we can use 401k and retirement accounts to pay for down payment and closing costs? Let me know in the chats. They answer, and then I give them the real answer. Do you think we can use gifts? Can somebody give us a gift of money to use for our down payment and closing costs? Perfect. Can I use my stocks, bonds, or any other cash that I have in the bank? Can I use cash in the bank in the stock market? Perfect. What about my credit card? I get really, really good points on my American Express. Can I use that to charge my down payment and my closing costs? That'd be really awesome. Get some plane tickets out of the deal, right? And they're going to guess, and then you're going to tell them the answer. Can I take out a loan, like a personal loan? My bank is offering me a personal loan of $30,000. Can I go ahead and take that out to pay for the down payment and closing costs, right? I love it. I love all my lenders in here, and I'm sure some of my agents are in there giving me the right answers. What about undocumented cash? Can I take all the money I've been saving under my mattress and bring it to the escrow closing table? Can I do that? Okay. And then you're going to explain why. So every time you give an answer, you will explain why. And then we talk about what fees need to be paid before or at closing. Make sure this is true and accurate for your market. If there's any other fees that happen at the closing table, then you can go ahead and add those on as well. But we talk about everything that they're going to have to pay for during escrow and at the closing table. Believe it or not, most buyers don't realize that the purchase price is not the final price. That is just the beginning. There's all the other fees that are tacked on. So make sure you explain those to them. And then I'll do a quick break and just say, do we have any questions up until this point that I can answer quickly? We're going to save the big questions for the end, but if there's something quick, we can go ahead and take that question now. All right, mistake number 3, going to the listing agent to buy your house. Why do you think we might not want to do that? So I ask them that question and I let them answer, and they're usually pretty sharp. I tell them the person sitting at that open house that you went to on Sunday probably works for the seller. And if they're not the direct listing agent, they probably are a friend of the listing agent. They have some sort of duty or loyalty to that seller, right? So I let them answer and then we look at the slide. So yes, going to the seller to try to buy the house is a direct conflict of interest because the listing agent has a contract with that seller. They might not fight for your interest. And actually, they shouldn't fight for your interest because as a dual agent, their duty is to remain neutral. Even though they might already have some bias towards their client, the seller, they don't have any reason to fight for you, which means you could end up paying thousands of extra dollars. So what should you do instead? You should hire a buyer's agent because they work for you. There's rarely an out-of-pocket cost. You have a strong negotiator on your side, and you will have a contract just like the seller has with their listing agent. You will have a contract outlining who works for who and what they're going to do for you. Guys, these will be the easiest buyer representation agreements you ever get signed because they now realize this is just part of the process. And when you're ready to get them to sign that buyer agreement, which is not going to be on your first meeting because that would be weird, but when you're ready to start house hunting and actually start providing real service, you'll say, okay, well, this is the point in our process now where we get the agreement ready. I'll walk you through it. If you feel comfortable signing this, then we can move forward. Okay. Mistake number 4, skipping the home inspection. Why might we not want to do this? Well, you may purchase a house being totally unaware of deal breakers. You could lose your negotiating power because there's things going on that you don't even know about. You risk inheriting other issues that might be non-structural. So mold, termites, things that you don't even know. You miss out on having a future forecast of repairs because your home inspector, if they're doing their job, they're going to tell you how old things are, the condition of different appliances, the roof. They'll give you some estimates on when you might need to replace those things so you can start planning for the future. You won't know about code violations, maybe things that were done illegally or unsafely. You won't even know about the status of termites in the home. I know some of you have radon testing that you do in your market. So whatever testing or inspections are customary for your market, talk about them. Talk about why they're important. And then mistake number 5, not taking the condo review period for the documents seriously. Now, on Oahu, I do lots of HOA work. So condos, HOA communities, it's very common that we're going to half the time buy something that has condo documents. So if you don't do this, then have a different slide, right? You'll have to come up with something else. But I like people to really understand the point of these documents and why they need to be taken seriously. You could find out that the condo that you're buying in the building has a homeowners association that is broke. You could find out that they're planning to raise HOA fees dramatically over the next few years. You could learn that they have a special assessment pending and you didn't even know. You could learn that the building actually does not allow pets. even though the listing said it did, somebody made an error. Anything that you read in these documents, you are agreeing to. So make sure you are comfortable agreeing to absolutely everything in here because you can't change it. And once you move past the review period, you're agreeing to it. All right, we made it through, everybody. How are we feeling now? Do you still feel a little stressed? Are you still concerned? Are you uncertain? Are you still anxious? Let me know in the chat. And then they will tell me that they feel excited. They feel like they've learned a ton. They're ready to move forward. And now what are we going to do? Do you feel like your time has been well spent this evening? Do you see how you'll be able to start the home buying process this year? Would you like the opportunity to speak with me and my team directly, one-on-one? We are offering free consultations all this week, you guys. There's no cost. We're here for you. We want to give you the opportunity to ask the questions that are on your mind. I'm putting a link in the chat. It's in there right now. Go ahead and click the link. Book yourself a time on my calendar. Select any available time. I will show up to that meeting, and it's just you, me, and my team really diving into your unique situation. Okay, so you'll spend some time dropping that link, and then we'll say, what are the next steps? Well, book a call to discuss your personal situation. Again, the link is in the chat. Then let's get you pre-approved. We don't know what we don't know. So we can move forward with the pre-approval process. There's no cost for this either. See, you're doing all this research with no commitment. This is just information. So we're going to run a pre-approval, see where you're at. And if you feel comfortable with that pre-approval number and you're ready to go, we'll start shopping for that dream home. Question and answer, right? So now we'll spend 15 to 30 minutes answering questions. Yes, guys, I didn't drop a link in the chat because we're not actually doing the webinar, right? You would drop your booking link in the chat, your link in the chat to your attendees. Got it? So you have to do that. I'm not putting a link in there because I'm not actually trying to get you guys registered on my calendar right now, but that's what you would do for your presentation. All right. And then I say thank you, everybody, for joining. I had a great time. I hope you learned a ton. Click that link in the chat. I'd love to show up with you guys one-on-one to learn more about your situation. Now, this presentation can easily go an hour and a half. Sometimes I have to stop telling so many stories because I find that I can just keep going. So I hope you see now that 30 minutes wouldn't be long enough, right? I mean, we did this 30 minutes and I was breezing through it. So you really, really need the time to explain each slide to start building that credibility, that rapport, and that trust. So VIPs, you have this exact presentation in your VIP experience. And I believe a few other agents that are doing really well have submitted theirs as well, their templates. So if you want this already done, just go upgrade to VIP experience and you can get this template as well. You can just edit it in Canva and make it your own. Okay, let's keep going. All right, come on. What is going on? Sorry, guys, let me just refresh this page really quick. There we go. Sometimes it gets stuck. Okay, can you see my slides? Are we good? It says, who wants to see the exact slideshow? Perfect. All right, so now I'm going to give you guys some additional tips to make sure you absolutely crush your webinar. So education is the key. Provide education so you can give value as much as possible. You want to spend this time really teaching them Spend the time to develop this presentation. Make it really sharp, like really, this shows off you. So make this your own. This will become your single most important asset. Make sure you're running your Facebook ads, which we're going to do tomorrow, to make sure that you have a full class every time. We're really going to do everything Facebook ads day 4 tomorrow, but make sure you're doing that. And you want to be very engaging with your audience. Ask them questions so they can answer in the chat. You want a back and forth going. You want them to feel comfortable communicating with you. That's the first step. Once they're comfortable communicating with you, they're going to be more likely to book a call with you. And drop that calendar link in the chat. If you're using Zoom, drop the link frequently after the transition phase. If you're using live stream, once you launch the button, like it kind of stays there on the screen the entire time. So you don't have to keep launching it. And have a question and answer session at the end so you can take the opportunity to tell your attendees to schedule in your calendar. Keep reverting back. That's a great question. Let's really dive into that one-on-one. Book a call with me. I can kind of give you a generic answer right now, but I'd really love to dive into that with you. Okay. So here's another key element of crushing your webinar. So a lot of agents really kind of take their time. They pick and choose what they're going to learn and what they're going to do. They try to figure everything out on their own. I was definitely that person. I thought I could just become like a master YouTube watcher and recreate everything by myself, right? And they're often making lots of mistakes. I definitely made lots of mistakes. And I finally learned, I don't want to pay for my own mistakes any longer. I've told you guys a few kind of embarrassing mistakes that I've done along the way, like wearing an upside down name tag into a grocery store, trying to find people that I could hopefully have a conversation about and maybe sell them a house. It's a very odd strategy, but somebody told me to do it. And so I did. So a lot of people think that doing things like that is a successful day. Oh yeah, I hit up 3 grocery stores today. I got 2 people to tell me my name tag was on upside down, like high five. That's not necessarily success. It's being busy. It's taking action. And I do actually commend people for doing anything to take action. A lot of people will look at success as how many cold calls did I make today? How many times did I get hung up on today? Oh, I made 100 dials. I only got 1 people that wanted to talk to me, but I made 100 dials. What a success, right? How many doors can you knock? That's a successful day. So I've probably made more cold calls with my team than a good percentage of everybody here on this training. I just triple line dialer. I'd put on a headset and I would just go for it. And I'd be like, wow, look how successful I am. But I wasn't getting any more business. I can now see and I can admit that doing all those things was actually a mistake. I just didn't know it at the time. And I'm trying to teach you that right now. So I paid the hard price in time, energy, and not growing my business by doing all those things that don't work. And what I've learned is that I would rather learn from people who've already paid for their mistakes. They've already done all the things that you shouldn't do, and they figured out what does work. Most agents, most lenders, they still pay for their education, but they pay for it with costly mistakes. Now, smart agents, smart lenders, they pay for someone else's mistakes, skip the line of mistake making, and jump right to the front of the line of what actually works. So I've easily spent over 10 years doing trial and error, doing what my broker taught me to do, jumping on the next best thing, doing the cold calling. Yes, it does get you over the fear of rejection. I could care less if somebody hangs up on me anymore. But man, what a miserable way to spend every single day and to not have measurable results to show for it, but just showing up. And it did. It taught me the power of just show up, show up, show up. But man, it's got to be better than just show up and take the hit, right? That was me paying my way in real estate education. I was paying my way through the mistake that I didn't know was a mistake at the time. And then I changed my approach because I just kept saying, there's got to be a better way. I just have to find it. I have to find a better way. I started studying what was working for other agents, figuring out what systems they were using, and how can I refine it and implement it for myself. So I told you a little bit about my mentor, Brad, someone that spent his time relying on Sphere of Influence. He hired marketing agencies and doing all these in-person seminars. And then eventually, it's hard to say it was like lucky with COVID, because COVID was awful, but lucky for him, he started developing funnels. He was like, there's got to be a way to do this at home seminar thing and connect with people where they are. And he figured it out. And I saw that he figured it out and that he was making literal millions of dollars, over $1 million in commissions year after year doing webinar funnels. I was like, man, I could go out and try to build a funnel myself because I know it works. I don't know anything about building a funnel. Or I could follow his path and not reinvent the wheel, right? So that's what I chose to do 2 years ago. So I want you to think about the mistakes that you've made in your career. Some of you are new and you haven't made the mistakes yet, and you found this system right away. Congratulations. Like, that is amazing. But some of you have definitely done like I've done and just tried thing after thing after thing after thing. So think about those things that you've done, the hundreds or thousands of, cold calls that you've made that has led to inconsistent deal flow, running homeless ads, all these things, door knocking, upside down name tags. What are all the things that you've tried? You don't have to answer that out loud. Just think about it. Those are some mistakes. Although you weren't making them thinking they were a mistake, you were actually trying to make yourself better. Here's the difference between most agents and the ones that are actually successful. Because we're all trying to be successful. We all go into it with the intention of improving our business. Most agents are paying for their education through costly mistakes. So, like it or not, you're paying something somewhere. You're either paying for the mistake of failure, and that can come in the cost of time, energy, things like that, or you're paying for the education by having somebody who's already done it show you the way. Smart agents, which I found out finally, pay for someone else's mistakes, skip the line of hard times, and just go directly to what works. I was like, brilliant, done. I want to do that. I became successful when I stopped needing to be the one to figure it out myself. I was too stubborn. I was like, oh, if they figured it out, I can figure it out. I'm not going to pay someone to teach me how to do it. I finally got successful when I said, you know what? I'll be second. Teach me. I will pay you to teach me. I'd rather let someone else run into that fire. I'd rather see what mistakes that they made so I can learn from it. That's my new approach, and it's been working really well. That was a huge turning point in my career. And that happened in 2024, to be specific. So I'm going on 2 years doing this system. I stopped trying to figure out lead generation on my own, and I simply started doing what was working for other people. It's like, just show me what you're doing because you are crushing it. Please teach me what to do. So think about what that means for you right now. How many more months or years are you willing to test strategies that don't work? How many more nights are you going to spend worrying about cash flow, where the next deal's coming from? And how much more money are you willing to watch just disappear in failed experiments? I've watched brilliant agents with amazing potential waste years of their life, tens of thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars, trying to reinvent the wheel. And they told me, I'm just figuring it out. I will figure this out eventually. But what they're really doing, they are paying the highest tuition fee possible, which is with their time, their money, and oftentimes their dreams. Meanwhile, agents that are scaling past 6 figures, and it seems like they're doing it easily, they're not smarter. They're not more talented, I promise you, but they are sleeping well at night because they know that tomorrow's commissions are already handled by their sales funnel. So just remember back to what I said earlier. The only difference between you and those agents, they are implementing systems that they know already work, and they're just repeating it. So the question isn't whether or not you can eventually figure everything all out on your own, because I guarantee you could spend the next couple of months, years, you will eventually figure it out because I believe in you. You guys are the kind of people that jump in and make things happen. I know that you'd be able to figure it out. But what is the cost of all the trial and error along the way? Not just financial, it comes in it's your peace, it's your family, it's the missed vacations. The webinar funnel is your path off the real estate income roller coaster because you're now in control of the lead flow. You are generating the leads. You're not paying a cut to Zillow and Realtor.com. It's you. The webinar funnel becomes like a commission printing machine, and it can provide you predictable deal flow for life as long as you use this funnel. So if you had the option, wouldn't you want to get insurance for that machine to make sure nothing happens to it? You know, it's like a car, you buy it, it works great. But what happens? Eventually the brakes wear out. You got to get new tires. You have to change the oil. So just like that for our funnel, we need to make tweaks along the way. You could also run the risk of breaking it, right? We don't want to break our machine. So I know you would want the insurance to make sure that money printer, the consistent deals keep coming in for life. So that machine can run itself on autopilot. That's the key. That's how we get our time back. It happens on autopilot. So for those of you that want insurance for this machine that we're building this week, so it doesn't end at Friday, there are some of you out there who've already direct messaged me and said, Stacy, we're done on Friday. What's next? Is there anything else I can do? Is there more training? Can I get access to one-on-one coaching? Like, what else do you guys offer? So I'm going to tell you, we have a private inner circle program for those of you that want to keep going. With the inner circle, you'll have access to our calendar. You'll have someone like Alessandra that you had yesterday, or someone else from the team that you can ask any question you want at any time. They will always be there to steer you in the right direction. All of your tech issues, sales questions, they will be there to set you on the best path forward. You'll have someone show up on your webinar and coach you to make it even better. So that first webinar that you launch, they will be there with you, making sure the technology works, that you are ready to go. Knowing that you have the experience of people who have helped hundreds of real estate and mortgage professionals close tens of millions of dollars in commissions. So that is what the inner circle is all about. It's for those of you that want the learning to continue and you want to take this thing to the next level. So we do have the capacity to welcome 12 highly motivated people to join the inner circle. That's what I did when I got to about day 3 in the training. I was like, man, like I love this so much, but like, what am I going to do after the challenge is over? I feel like I'm going to be on my own. And the inner circle was offered to me. And I said, you know what? This actually makes sense. This is something I can get behind. So I now want to offer to you the exact same thing that I did. These are the footsteps that I walked. You are welcome to follow. So if you're looking for us, the team, to be fully involved in your funnel, then this might be for you. I know it's not for everyone, and that is okay. But some of you are waiting for the next thing. So our team will work with you privately, one-on-one. We'll do that over Zoom. We will do the full setup of all your systems. We will basically just take over. It's like, all right, where are you? How far did you get? Cool. Give me the controls. We're going to optimize it. We're going to set it up. And we're just going to get this thing ready